my next in my weight police series of, now that I have the big truck and I've been towing with it, but I didn't spend a lot of money for this thing. I paid under $50,000 for this truck, and it is a max tow, four-wheel drive, a high output Cummins with, you know, the 410 gears, Aisin transmission, and the big rear end. So what do you get for something that cheap? Because a lot of people I know like spending, you know, you can jack one of these bad boys up over $85,000 these days and do it. So, but again, one of the reasons this was so cheap is it's an oddball. It's a stripper. There are not a lot of options on this thing. You know, you can see it's a tradesman, first off, but it's got the important stuff. On the outside, you know, it's got my four-wheel drive that I wanted. It's got my Aisin transmission. It's got my big rear end. In the back, we do have the trailer hitch package. I didn't really want it, but it was on it, so it was good, and I kind of like this. That's kind of nice. I won't have to do that later. Another one of the little weird options this thing has that I didn't care about, but I like it now that I do have it, is the little cargo lights in the back. I can see they'll be handy hitching up a fifth wheel, and so that's kind of nice. Another option that this has, you know, one of the very few, is it does have the backup camera right here, and didn't really care about that, but I'll tell you, now that I've had one and have used it to back up my trailer and can hit that ball pretty much every time, that's pretty nice. It's also got the backup sensors. A little less useful because all they do is tend to make noise, but I guess it's kind of nice to have. What else do you get with a stripper for under 50 grand? Yeah, it's filthy because I've been using it. But what we have, the other options we got the 5.1 radio, not the cheapest one. So we got XM radio, you got the backup camera and all of that. Let's see, obviously has the electronic shift transfer case, another thing I didn't really want. I would have preferred to have the manual shift, but I've never really had much of an issue on those, even on my 260,000 mile Ford. I've had to replace that motor once in 20 years, so I'm not too worried about it. It did come with the auxiliary switches, which I haven't used yet, but if I change a bumper or put something with fog lights or other doohickeys on there, it's going to work. It does have the integrated trailer brake, which works fabulously. And that's about it. That's what you get. But, you know, you don't have the steering wheel controls for the radio, so, you know, I can't be lazy. I got to actually reach over and adjust the radio rather than just doing it from the steering wheel. But, you know, I can handle that kind of hardship for cheap. And to be honest, on my 14 Ram, the only thing that's really ever failed other than the broken exhaust stud is the 8.4AN radio that I had to have replaced under warranty. So I don't need all that electronic gizmos and gewgaws and garbage. All right, what don't you get for that kind of another thing that you get, and this one kind of surprised me. I watch a few other videos on YouTube, and I saw a guy who I really like. He does a good job on his channel. He talks a lot about big trucks and big RVs and things like that, and I think he's based out of Corpus, but he does a real good job. And he drives a really nice, beautiful F450, brand new, pretty truck. And he was showing something on the payload on his truck, and if I recall, it was under 5,000 pounds on his sticker, which blew my mind, because if you look at this bad boy, if you can see it, max payload on this baby is 5,568 almost, you know, almost 5,600 pounds. And I was just kind of surprised that 450 had substantially less cargo capacity than this. But again, and he does explain it in the video, it's a function of the packages that you get. Because every little bit of crap that you add to these trucks takes away from that weight rating. So, you know, I've added some things like my ranch hand steps and mud flaps and things, and I'm probably going to go with a nice set of ranch hand bumpers at some point, because I think they're really well built and they look good. And all that adds up and subtracts from what you're capable of having for your payload. but you know, pretty much with you know, 5,600 pounds of payload, if I add 800 pounds worth of stuff to it, I'm still going to be able to handle about the you know, any fifth wheel I can ever consider possibly getting without having to worry about it with this baby. All right, so what don't you get? Well, you don't get a lot of special electronic stuff. The only mirror part that moves on this thing is this one. That's the only electric. It's fully manual, no matter what you do. You don't have any of that electrics. Obviously, there's no chrome package on this thing. Everything's black. Personally, I prefer it that way. You don't get the projector headlights. These are fine. They're not great. I've never driven a truck with projectors, but these are kind of dim. I honestly think I just need to upgrade the bulbs to maybe some silver stars, and that's going to help a lot, because I don't do a lot of driving with this at night. You know, everything under the hood is the same as anything else you would get. You don't get snazzy wheels. All you do is you get your steel wheels. But if you think about it, you buy the aluminum wheel package, you only get 2 of them, and they're only polished on one side, I think. So the inner one on the rear, you know, you ain't going to be able to rotate them. These, at least I can rotate without having to worry about screwing a paint up. You can see I park in a mud hole, but it's one of the reasons the truck's filthy. You know, the rear suspension is going to be the same. If you got the Ison transmission, everything else is going to be the same. No differences between the expensive trucks and the cheaper trucks. I mean, there's some things you can get a little camera that goes up on there so you can look in the bed and stare at whatever the hell you're carrying for some reason, I guess. Another thing you don't get is tire brands that you're normally used to. These are made by Nexen, N-E-X-E-N, and they are the Rhodian HTX RH5s. And from a capacity standpoint, they're more than adequate. They're perfectly acceptable, and I read the warranty book that came with it, and they got a good warranty on them. I think they actually even have road hazard from new, if I recall. I may be mistaken, but I think that was the case. And I ain't gonna change them, but you know, the higher end trucks seem to get the more, you know, the Goodyears or the Michelins or those of the world. So it is up to you. You know, it's got the again, black bumper, because who needs chrome? I'm just gonna get it all messed up anyway. Class 5 hitch is exactly the same with the expensive trucks. Obviously the paint isn't much, you know, doesn't have a lot of doodads on it. Doesn't even say Ram, just says the Ram's head and 4x4. But you know, all the undercarriage stuff is going to be the same. You only got one electric seat. It actually came with carpet, which I didn't really want. I was hoping that they had one that was going to have just this carpet delete, but because I just put liners on it, because I am just going to get it full of mud. No issues there. One of the things that I actually prefer with this truck versus my other one is, and one of the things you don't get with a more expensive truck, is that stupid center console. I hate that thing. The center console that goes all the way up here. I mean, first off, this is more utility because I can put another person in there if I want to. Of course, now they got to straddle my CB, but you know what I mean. Second, the console is terrible. It takes up a lot of space. The cup holders are only on one side, so they're stupid. It's just not good. You've just got a lot more space, you know, including this thing and everything else in here. This is just a much better setup to me for a truck. I hate that console, and I would not have purchased a truck that had that center console. I don't like it one damn bit. You don't get any of the snazzy electronic climate controls, but again, I can turn knobs. I'm not worried about it. This ain't a Mercedes. You don't get leather seats, but again, don't really care. Although I wish I had put the seat cover on mine before I burned a couple of holes in it smoking a cigar, because these are colossally flammable seats. So think of that if you smoke. Cigarettes probably aren't that bad, but a cigar is going to, if you drop an ash on it, it's going to go up in flames. Yeah, the rest of the interior is going to be pretty similar. Yeah. Nothing major. The other thing I noticed is you'll see these two things here and here. That's where I mount my rear view camera for the trailer. and my tire pressure monitoring system for the trailer. We got suction cups on them. My 14, which is a little higher end, it's an SLT, or it's a bighorn, that is. These are smooth. They're like, they're not chrome, but they're smooth. This is kind of a sandblasted finish, and the suction cups wouldn't even think about sticking to it. So I just found a couple of old boxes from GPS units that I had and glued those down, and now they stick perfect. So little things you got to do. It's got the, it's got your USB port up here. It's got the cigarette lighter port. It doesn't need much else. The only driver's seat is the only one that's got any electric adjustment at all. Or does it? I don't even remember. The driver's seat may not even be power, which is actually even better. I don't think it is. Let me check it. I never move it. I just put it in one position and go. Nope, sure enough, the driver's seat isn't power. It's standard. It's not, it's just a standard seat. So those motors aren't going to fail eventually, because I intend to keep this truck forever. Because what else am I going to need something bigger than this to tow? The rear seat, stupid Beetles. Nothing too special here. Again, I carpeted it. It does have the same little storage buckets under there that I never use on the other truck. I honestly like this seat better than the other one. But the other one, I think, has the fold flat thing that comes out over here, and these are covered. And it's a little bit, I don't know, maybe a little more useful if you're grocery shopping, because you got a nice flat floor back here. And the other one does have a split folding seat in the back, where this doesn't. I can take it or leave it. It's not that big a deal. But that's what you get with a cheap truck, and what you don't get with a cheap truck. If you need utility, if you need to pull a trailer, if you need to work, these are the ones I would look at. I mean, what else do you need? It's going to do everything you want. If you do modify it, you're not pulling chrome accessories off that you paid $1,000 for and throwing them in a dumpster so you can put another bumper on it, or you're not throwing your aluminum wheels away when you want to go to a set of 19.5s to get some better cargo, better capacity on the tires, or anything like that, or longevity out of the tires. You're not doing that. And it's just cheaper, and it's equally as effective to do anything you want to do with it, and it's possibly even better, because like I said, these trucks are going to be typically a lot heavier with the more electronic junk that you add to them, and so it's going to take away from your cargo carrying capacity, and that's the whole point of these things. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, I talk about a lot of stuff like this. I tend to fix a bunch of stuff and make videos of it. Please subscribe. I would appreciate it, as YouTube has recently demonetized my channel because they thought that $50 every couple of months I might make on my advertising revenue didn't need to be paid anymore, since I didn't have 1,000 subscribers. So I'm trying to work my subscriber count up a little bit just to make these a little bit more fun to make. But I'm most likely going to keep doing them anyway, just because, hey, why not? It's kind of fun. If you got any questions about this or any of the other Dodges or any of my other vehicles you might see, please give me a yell. And as always, stay safe out there.